Is this everyone? Wow. Okay, just formality. Assalamu alaikum. Has everyone filled in volunteer forms? So this is important so that we are going to be adding you all to groups so that we can communicate with you and so that we know. If you have more people that would like to join after this meeting, please get them to provide us the same details so that we can put them onto the groups that we're going to set up after the meeting today. So thank you all for being here today. I know London is very busy, and I know you've all made an effort, so Majurin inshallah for being here today. So the purpose of the meeting, my name is Muhammad Al-Bayati, I'm one of the organizers. 4 years, and I work in conjunction with a number of people that are going to be speaking today to tell you a little bit about their roles and what we expect and what to expect from the day itself. So this year the event is going to be a very big event. It's going to be starting at the Marble Arch as always. However, this year we're going to be finishing off in Trafalgar Square. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the timings and the route that we're going to take towards later on in this session. But today is more about for you to know about what's going to happen and how it's going to progress. And also for you to get to know who the organizers are and what to expect and what we expect from you. So first person I'd like to invite to the stage is Mr. Layth al-Balaghi. So Mr. Layth al-Balaghi has been part of this Masira for more than his whole life. He was born into this and he's been Hussaini through and through. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome to the stage Mr. Layth al-Balaghi.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Thank you all for being here. We're going to speak about the procession mainly and the organization part of things. What my role will be is to guide leaders What my role will be is to guide leaders in terms of organization of the march. Sorry about that, and inshallah to support you boys to know exactly the route of the procession and of course how to deal with any issues that will happen on the day. We're going to be splitting teams into 5 with one leader. The leader will have a radio. Maybe like last year, people who came last year will know more about things. They'll be holding ropes, mainly putting people on the road rather than on the pavements, or going on the other side of the road. We'll be having a team of who is Hussain. They'll be speaking to the foreigners about Imam Hussain and why we're doing this procession. Inshallah, afterwards we'll have a Q&A session. You guys feel free to ask us any question. And as well regarding about the march last year, it was an amazing success. It was a success because of all of you guys. You guys done a fantastic job, and inshallah we'll carry on this job to become more amazing, inshallah, for this year. Thank you.
Okay, originally this presentation was meant to be 2 hours, so we're going to rush through things a lot quicker. Now you'll notice that when you filled in a form, you each received a program. Now in this program, it will help to explain the route that we're taking and to give you an idea of the size of the procession this year. And so if you look at the back page, you're going to see a map of London. And you're going to see Marble Arch on one corner and Trafalgar Square on the other corner. Now the impact that the march is going to have on London is going to be, very dramatic because they have road closures that surround the whole route, that are going to be stopping traffic, and it's for the safety of the public. So we're taking the safety of the public very seriously. Unlike last year, you're not going to have any cars that are going to be parked on any of the junctions on Oxford Street or Regent Street. Everything's going to be set further away. So inshallah, we won't have any incidences where there are cars approaching the procession. And that's important because, as you know, in the last 12 months, we've had many incidences where people have been driving vehicles into members of the public, and so for a security reason, we've decided to take an extra precaution in that respect. So that will give you an idea of the route. We're going to be setting off, gathering at Marble Arch, around about 9, 10 o'clock, everyone will start gathering. The set-off time from Marble Arch and where all your involved are, I expect everyone to be at the Marble Arch from around about 10 o'clock onwards on the day itself. But you'll get text messages and WhatsApp groups to confirm all of that from your group leaders. But gathering time from 10 o'clock, we're going to have a program where there's going to be recitation of the maqtal, prayers, and then a couple of keynote speakers are going to speak, and then we're going to set off around about 2:30, 3 o'clock. The procession this year is also, we're going to, in addition to Marble Arch, you're going to have Great Cumberland Place. So if you look at the first page inside your program, you're going to see a diagram of Marble Arch, but there's also another road called Great Cumberland Place. So that road is also going to be closed off this year. So people, after the prayers, after reading of the maqtal, people are going to be guided to gather in Great Cumberland Place, because we have a limited amount of space on Marble Arch this year. So people, you're going to have difficulties because we're going to have two teams. We're going to have a team that's going to be on the Marble Arch from the morning, and you're going to have a team that's going to be based at Great Cumberland Place from around about 1 o'clock, 1:30. When everything sets off, the two different sections of the procession will join together and will enter into Oxford Street, where the whole of Oxford Street will be closed. Who was here last year? Okay, so last year you remember that Oxford Street was open and you had oncoming traffic. This year that's not going to happen. The whole of Oxford Street is going to be closed. So we have the whole width of Oxford Street, so it should be a lot easier to manage. And Regent Street is also going to be closed. So we have, inshallah, a very good space. It's going to be a safe space. We're not going to have any issues that we had last year. And this year, unlike going to Downing Street, we're going to end up in Trafalgar Square. And in Trafalgar Square, we're going to have further keynote speakers, and Taqwa will talk to you more about the program on Trafalgar Square. So now I want to briefly move on to security. We have with us Ali Mashkour, who is our security consultant and manager, and he's going to be talking to you about what you should be looking out for during the procession. So if you can welcome to the stage Mr. Ali Mashkour. Thank you. Allahumma salli ala
Muhammad. Like Hamid said, my name is Ali Mashkour. I'm an ex-police officer and also worked as a security consultant in Iraq. And only came back this year. So I'll go through a quick brief on what I'll be talking about. So the first thing I'll talk about is the current threat level in the UK. As Ahmed also stated earlier, that we've had a few, I'm sure you all know anyway, with incidents that we've had in London and Manchester. Alhamdulillah, the threat level has dropped from critical to severe, which basically means an attack is highly likely. Inshallah, it goes even further down, but we just need to be very vigilant and observe everything that's going on around us. Duties of stewards and stewardesses. You're not there as security guards. You just need to be aware of that. Unless you are carrying an SIA license, then you might have a role in the security side, but you're there to basically help the people in the march to carry on moving, stay in the same route and not go to different routes. Having said that, by law, you have no right to stop anyone going in or out. You're there to say, please, if you are part of this procession, you need to move this way. You can't actually force people to stay in the march or keep people out. If If at any point you have a situation with a member of the public from outside the procession, within the procession we try and keep it internal and try and resolve it. Just call on the radio or tell your supervisor, and they will call one of us to come and sort it out. If it's someone from the general public, I mean, from my assessment, I think it's one of three, either a drunk person who doesn't know what's going on and they just see people wearing black, shouting things out, they don't understand what we're saying. Or it could be a member of the far right, so EDL, Britain First, those kind of people. I'm sure you've seen them on all over social media. They might try and cause a bit of problems. If it's verbal, they're shouting things out, just ignore them and just keep our people in the procession to keep moving. Another potential group is extremists, Wahhabis, Salafis, and so on, that want to actually cause more havoc. Again, it could be verbal, where it's them shouting. If it's them shouting insults, just please ignore them. Please try and get our lot as well to keep moving. If it becomes physical, try your best not to get involved, please, especially the guys. Just try and keep them out, and then we will have a large group of security guys. You just need to call in and let them deal with it. When it's you dealing with it, it becomes me against you, right? Because I'm a Shi'i or whatever, or the other way around. When it's these guys, they have nothing to do with it, right? Let them deal with it. So please, try not to get involved. I know a lot of people's emotions are going to be high and you might hear things that will upset you, but we're there to represent Imam Hussein. So we need to act on it. Actually, I'm not going to talk about citizens' arrest because we'll leave it to those guys. Roles and responsibilities, things to look out for, like I said, just look around you while you're there. Look at our lot as they're moving, the people in the procession, as they're moving, just keep an eye out. Always, I used to be in the territorial army in this country, and they used to tell us, always keep your eyes peeled. So you need to be very sharp when you're looking around and making sure that no one's up to anything silly. If it is inappropriate behavior, again, call someone, let them deal with it. You need to stick with your group and keep people moving. Other bits to look out for, I'm sure quite a lot of you are active on social media. If you do see things on whatever, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, I don't know what else is out there, and you think it's potentially targeting the march or any other marches, please let us know. We have the right means of contacting people in the police or other agencies to let them know that this is out there. If it's important, if it's directly related to us, we need to know about it. If it's other marches or anything else, please also tell us and we will give it to the right people. Another thing I wanted to talk about was the use of radios. For the people that are going to have radios, I've said this many times in many years, the radio is not a megaphone. You don't need to shout when you put the microphone next to you, whether you have the hands-free kit or the actual handset. It needs to be very simple, very precise message. You need to say who you're calling. So if I'm calling Muhammad, it will be Muhammad calling Ali, right? Or Ali calling Muhammad. And say the message. Ali calling Muhammad. I am outside shop so-and-so. Can I please see you? That's it. Over, right? It needs to be very clear, very simple, no long messages. Again, if you're on the radio and you're talking for about 20, 30 seconds, no one's going to hear what you're saying, no one's going to understand, and then you're going to have to meet and talk anyway. But instead, you're keeping everyone busy. You'll see everyone going like that, trying to understand what's going on the radio. So keep it very short, very precise, quick message, and then actually meet face to face to talk or use the mobile phone. Other things, in an emergency, if you're there and you saw something that needs police assistance, immediate police assistance, just pick up your phone and call 999, and also let someone else know. If you find something on social media, or you hear of something, whether it's in school, college, university, outside, you hear something and you think, that doesn't sound right, I need to report it. If you don't want to tell us, there is a anti-terrorist hotline that I can give it out to whoever wants later. You can call them direct. You don't have to give any details. You can just literally call them and give them the information, and they don't need to know who you are. And that's it from me. All right.
Thank you very much, Ali. So next we have our sister Taqwa al-Balaghi and Jinan al-Balaghi, who are going to be talking to you about the management of the women's side. Sisters, it's very important that we have a clear message as well, brothers. We have a clear message about how the women's sections are managed. There were a few incidences last year, and as you know, the women's section tends to also hold a lot of the children, the infants, the most vulnerable in the procession. So it's really important that we get this right, and that there is, they are fully protected, and so it's important that we get that policy together. So please welcome to the stage Taqwa and Jinan al-Balaghi. Thank you. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
السلام عليكم مأجورين عظم الله أجوركم موفقين إن شاء الله. Just quickly, we have all been blessed with this opportunity to serve. It's a tawfiq from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Imam al-Hussein, that we are serving, we are holding roles, we're helping. Every single one of us has an important role. Don't underestimate what you're doing. All of us are doing this for Allah. Everything we do is important. On the day, Sah al-Majalis is us for the Shias. The march is a Husseini march for the whole world. Everyone is observing. Everything we do, every action, we're going to be representing the Husseini message. So it's very important how we carry ourselves on the day, how we deal with problems we face on the day. We're here to have guidance, we're here to be told who the right people are to turn to. On the ladies section, we're going to have, inshallah, double security, where we're going to have the stewardesses and then the security behind us, to avoid any problems to the most vulnerable, like Muhammad said, with the children, the women. There were some incidences where the security did not really know and were too close to the women's side. They will be briefed on that as well. So like I said, it's for everyone. How we represent ourselves, how we deal with the problems faced on the day is very important. We can't lose our temper. We can't get angry. We're going to be faced with left, right and center comments. Not everyone's going to be polite, even within the march. You're going to hear, some impoliteness, rudeness. We face it every day here in the Majlis as well. We need to keep calm and remember the Husseini message that we're presenting. Now, at the Marble Arch, inshallah, we're going to have the maqtal held by Sayyid Muhammad al-Safi. We are trying to get someone to read parts of the maqtal in English. We still haven't confirmed that yet. After which, we are going to have, inshallah, the Dhuhrain prayers. And then we will have Ziyarat Ashura. After Ziyarat Ashura, we will all be listening to a speech in English. It's very important that we have Arabic and English speaking speeches on the day. There's going to be many listeners, and we have to cater for both. Some people don't understand English, and some people don't understand Arabic. We can't exclude one or the other. Some people say Arabic is not important. No. And specifically in Ashura, the maqtal is very important. We are holding this in one of the most biggest cities in the world. We have to portray this Husseini message in the right way, and for everyone to be informed about Imam Hussein and the message. It's not a political demonstration. Yes, politics will be involved, anti-ISIS, anti-terror, all of this. But that's not the main aim of the march. Our main aim is to spread the message of Hussein. So we will have a speech in English to inform people of the story of Imam Hussein briefly and what Imam Hussein stood for. After which we will inshallah start walking. Then we will end at Trafalgar Square, and we're going to have more keynote speakers there. That's going to be more of the focal point, because in the morning it's more about the maqtal and what actually happened. At the end of Trafalgar Square, where inshallah all the coverage would have taken place, that's when we will tell the whole world why we are here today. We will have a priest, inshallah, we will have a rabbi, we are working on a female speaker, and we will have a sheikh representing the Shia community. All of them will have pretty much a 10-minute slot. We have to be the ones listening so the people around us learn from us. We can't be, unless it's obviously very important, we're putting people together, we can't have little groups of us chatting with each other, no. We listen, so we show people it is important. We have to be the example that we want the crowd to follow. And then inshallah we will also have a session of Ladmiya, which is also important, but this is pretty much what's going to happen at both stations, which are very important. And Janan will continue more on the organisation with the women on the day. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. I think Taqwa pretty much covered a lot of it. But inshallah with the help of you, we'll be able to assign everyone to teams, and everyone will get their respective roles. But I think inshallah we'll probably meet once more, or we'll inform everyone of their roles somehow. MashaAllah, last year's volunteers in the whole Masjid Sira was amazing, the year before and the year before that. And alhamdulillah, it's always beautiful to see so many people serving or wanting to serve Imam Hussein. And I think, obviously I remind myself first, but everyone as well, there are so many factors to take into consideration on the day. It's an emotional day, everyone's tired, everyone's been at Majalis for 10 days. It's intense, so things might change. You might be told to do something different to what you're assigned. Don't get upset, you might be spoken to badly. Taqwa said that. So just, take it all in, remember the cause and the reason we're there, and, just keep calm and keep it moving. So yeah, that's really all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Taqwa and Janan, for that. So I think everyone's got a clear idea as to the route, the security issues that we have. Ali is going to prepare a small message that each one of you, if you filled in the form with your contact details, each one of you will get a message, kind of like a briefing on the security issues, the top 5 or 10 points as to what to do in an emergency. So that will assist you before the event itself. So finally, we have a section that is going to be for those of us who wish to leaflet and speak to members of the public. So of the volunteers, who here is willing to talk to members of the public and distribute leaflets? Can I have a show of hands? Okay, so there is another training session on how to speak. I encourage as many of you to actually participate in this, so that if you don't want to give out leaflets on the day, you can possibly pass on that training to someone who does. So if we're going to have a training session now, it's going to be upstairs, and I'm going to introduce our next speaker to the stage. But that, I want to encourage everyone, as many of you, to go upstairs to be able to get that training on how to speak to members of the public. As Taqwa mentioned, we are the face of Ashura in London. Last year we received a lot of media coverage. This year, like we did last year, we're going to be distributing leaflets. We're also going to have confectionaries, chocolates that we're going to be distributing. So the vests that we've also ordered will have Ask Me a Question on the back of them. So people are going to engage with you, whether you're a steward, whether you're giving leaflets or not. People are going to ask you, what is this about? What's happening here? Some people might be aggressive, some people might be passive, and they just want to know a bit more information. So the way that you respond to these people is really important, it's key. We can't be everywhere in the procession, so you are part of our team, and we're all one team working together. So our next speaker is Hassan who's going to talk to us about the Who is Hussein campaign and what they're all about. So can I Please get a salawat for Sayyid Hassan al-Sadr. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. My role is to share some of the experience we have about presenting Imam Hussein alayhi salam to non-Muslims. Now I could see that many of you have risen their hands, possibly because you've never had the experience of talking to a non-Muslim about Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And that was the situation that we were in, long time ago. But alhamdulillah, with continuous efforts, especially with the brothers of the Hussein who do a weekly Feed the Homeless program every Saturday on the Strand, a few meters away from Trafalgar Square. Because they've done that for a number of years, they've had the experience to talk about the Imam Salamullahi alayhi every single week. So for those of us who have not had this opportunity, it's fine, because we all learn. Inshallah, we don't learn from experience by making the same mistake with the general public, but we learn by being prepared and trained. Like Sister Taqwa said, you need to do this with the right intention, i.e., you need to remember that whilst you're here in this majlis or on the street, you are in some form of ibadah. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله يا أبا ذر إن استطعت أن لا تأكل ولا تشرب إلا لله فافعل. Oh Abu Dhar, if you could eat and drink for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then do it. We view ibadah as a ritual. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa teaches that it is your life. If you could eat and drink only for Allah, then do it. What about if you are in the procession wearing a volunteering jacket for Imam Hussein alayhi salam? You will be in a form of ibadah. So you have to be very careful with your intention and how you conduct yourself. Briefly, there is no way out of it. If you don't want to talk to the people will talk to you. And the last thing you want to do is to come with the full intention and very pure intention to help the Imam, and then when one or two non-Muslims on the street want to talk to you, your body language, your reply is the most inappropriate thing you could do to your Imam. So you've done all this effort to help the Imam, and then when a non-Muslim or a Muslim wanted to hear something about the Imam, you were the reason why they got the wrong message. How would they get the wrong message? With your body language, with your attitude. They will be watching you. People are very polite. I know we have extremists, but usually people are very polite. They won't talk to you, they'll just watch you. They watch exactly how you are talking to your fellow team members. And they will get a very good impression about what this procession and what this Imam is like in your eyes. Inshallah, not the reality, because the reality is much higher and better. But they will see whether you truly respected Imam Hussein alayhi salam, or are you out there with your friends to have some good time. Why? Because everyone in the community is doing it. So you might as well just join them. If you are there for that reason, and you have a couple of days to spiritually prepare, if you're there for that reason, people will tell. And وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, nifaq shows. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. Nifaq shows that you're just there, حَشْرٌ مَعَ النَّاسِ عِيد. But if you are sincere about the Imam, you will watch the way you walk, and the way you interact with the supervisors, and the way you talk to the sisters, and the way you talk to your own people. These kind words and kind gestures should be reflected. بلا زحمة لو سمحتي, excuse me, على راسي حجي, الله يعطيك العافية, بلا زحمة, sir, excuse me, all these things should be reflected. You don't have to have efforts for them, they should be reflected naturally in the way you conduct yourself within the procession. And if people ask you, you need to have something to say about the Imam. You don't need to give a speech. Inshallah, we'll all be able to give a speech. You don't need to give a speech. My simple advice before I leave more details to the training session, is the following. Be prepared for a sentence or two about the Imam alayhi salam, not the way you think about the Imam. The way you think about the Imam is the way you've understood the Imam over many years by attending the majalis. You have essentially 10 to 20 seconds, if not less, with someone who has no background about the Imam. So what you need to do is the following. Few days before the march, يعني من اليوم, from now, you need to think of one or two traits of Imam al-Hussein عليه السلام, يعني من صفاته, من التاريخ, من صورة الإمام, that we've understood it over the majalis. One or two. Those one or two traits of the Imam need to be in a way that those non-Muslims need the Imam. تسمعني? Those two traits that you choose need to be about how the non-Muslims need the Imam. مو أنت شلون تعرف الإمام. The Imam to most of us, judging by where you come from, is about fighting dictatorship. Al-Hussein Sayyid al-Shuhada أمام يزيد الطاغية, the tyranny of Yazid. That's because we have tyrants represented as individuals in the Middle East. The people in Europe don't have that. So please don't let the first sentence that comes out of your mind about the Imam to do with fighting tyrants. Because the non-Muslims will look at you and say, يعني, to a certain extent, I live in a democracy. This is your problem. بالعراق, بالبحرين, Pakistan. So this fighting tyranny and tyrants, الطواغيت, Al-Hussein, Salamullah alayhi ضد Yazid, get this picture out. Because this is how you've understood the Imam. Choose one or two traits that the non-Muslims need in their lives to improve their life and better them. Like the Imam is our Imam, he's the Imam of the whole of humanity. How do they need the Imam? Do they need the Imam? If you don't know how they need the Imam, then you need to attend the session. If you don't know how people here in Britain still need Imam al-Hussein, you need to attend the session. But briefly, talk about moral values. Talk about forgiveness. Talk about generosity. واحدة منها. One or two. They ask you, what is this about? This is about the man who teaches us generosity. This is about the man who teaches us how to forgive. خلاص, just a short introduction. And if they say, forgive? Forgive whom? And then you have a few seconds to explain how he forgave al-Hur, how he forgave his enemies, talk something about Islam. But let the first sentence about the Imam, something to capture their attention, one or two of the traits of the Imam that non-Muslims need them in the West. That's what I have to say. Don't run away from the responsibility. توكلوا على الله. سأل الله سبحانه وتعالى التوفيق. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you've never spoken to a non-Muslim about this, you have few days to prepare. Ask Allah for help. And inshallah, we're all with you to help you today and on the day, inshallah. والحمد لله رب العالمين. صلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين.
Thank you for that, Sayyid Hassan. It was very insightful, and I think everyone has something that they can take away. But Sayyid Hassan is now going to be chairing a special session where you will take more away for the message and also for the procession. And I think it's important that, as I said, that everyone attends this session in order to gain something, and you got a little taster of that. So now I'd just like to welcome Blayth al-Balagha back on stage. We're going to have a Q&A session before we wrap up. So from last year's event, does anyone have any questions or about this year's event, any questions that you want answered or you're not sure about any of the information that we provided? Don't be shy. Yeah.
It's not really a question, it was just about it. You said to be aware of the surroundings of the people around the procession. One thing that they said last is also to be aware of the windows, especially in there.
Yes.
I'll
see that.
Danger.
I see that. That's a very good point.
Yeah, you want to answer that?
That's a very good point, actually. Your name, Brother Hassan has pointed out. We should be aware of windows or any high roofing. If people want to throw stuff, or يعني أي واحد مثل ما يقولون خبيث مثلا, what you do is you go back to your leaders, or you will be allocated 5 names on the day who you'll radio in. I'm speaking to team leaders. You'll have 5 names that you will be calling in and say, so-and-so position, I've had something thrown at me from such building, and they will take action upon that. Thank you very much for this, Brother Hassan. Any other questions? You guys must have some questions.
So on the day, everything's got to run very smoothly. Everyone knows exactly what they're doing. Tafadhal.
I've just got 2 things to apply to stewards. Please, as a steward, if you're not licensed, do your job as you're not licensed as a steward. Do not search anyone. Do not try and see. If you saw a suspicious package, for example, do not go and open it and try and figure out what's inside.
Call it.
There is radios calling for it. Like in my experience in the field, a lot of stewards I have that used to go and just, okay, I can do it, it's easy. Sometimes it could be dangerous. Don't do it. Searching people is another thing. If someone wanted to appoint it on us, the organization could lose a lot in that. Just for searching someone if you're not licensed.
Agreed.
So please take these seriously.
Yeah, as sorry, your name, brother? Rasul. So, as Brother Rasul mentioned, as stewards, you're there to walk with the patrons, walk with the procession. You're not there to undertake any police work or any security work. That's not your responsibility. You're there to report any incidences to those who are authorized to take the necessary action. So you'll be assigned teams, and you'll have a team leader, and anything that you notice, anything that requires attention, you need to be able to inform your team members. One of the things that I noticed last year as well is, the stewards or certain teams quickly got into a panic about certain things. In the procession, running during up and down the procession can cause people to feel agitated and anxious. So be very wary how you move. As Brother Said Hassan mentioned, your body language, the way you interact with your team members is important. So you have to maintain a calm nature at all times. You're there to assure everyone, not just the people in the procession, but members of the public, that everything's under control and that you're there and that you've been trained well in that respect. Does anyone else have any further questions before the session with Said Hassan starts?
Will we be given a general plan about what time we have to be there, what the route will be?
Yes, if you've provided your contact details, then you'll get a message. I would suggest that on Sunday, the 1st of October, everyone gathers at 10 o'clock at the Marble Arch Standing. Okay, so 9 a.m. on Sunday the 1st. I'm sure everyone will have maqtals and family and people who are going to the majalis on that day. And I'm sure you would have had a very long night the day before. But please, for the sake of preparation, and in order to be assigned your team and to know and get familiar with the surroundings, we require you to be there at 9 a.m. on the day itself. The people that are present here today will most likely be team leaders, or will most likely be people that we will rely on. As you've had the briefing, you know what the route is, and you have a bit more information than the others. So we would expect you to also be able to relay that message across to everyone else. Yes?
We're going to expect more people to turn up on the day.
Yes.
To volunteer. So for us who are here to deal with those latecomers that will be coming after the majlis, after other maqsals, probably after salah, how do we coordinate that?
So, on the day, or do you want to answer this one?
Yeah, on the day, we'll be dividing teams. Mainly I and my supervisors or other supervisors or colleagues, whatever you want to frame them at, they will be dividing the teams. Of course, it will be based on the experience I had with certain individuals last year and based on their thoughts while I have a conversation with them. In terms of ladies, I want them to gather in one place. I'll probably give you and Janan this instruction as last year. You'll get me as much as volunteers as you come, and then we'll divide them and we'll see who wants to be team leaders. We'll have a 2 to 5 minutes conversation with them, see if they understand the concept and the exercise. If they do so, then we'll make them team leaders, but they will be monitored. So whoever will put or whoever will allocate as a team leader on the day will be monitored. Things could change on the second.
So the point is, we are expecting latecomers. They
Absolutely,
are welcome.
of course, they're all
We'll
welcome.
have a filtering process.
Yes, absolutely. Any other questions? Please.
The year before, we had lots of mixing, men's and women's.
Yeah.
Do you want us to allow mixing, or do you want us to?
Now, in terms of that, you see, it's very difficult to divide people from their families and children. We try and ask for it, but we can't force it, as Brother Ali explained to us. What we will do is we'll try and divide men and women, but there will be a part within the procession that will be mixed. We'll leave it as that, and then we'll try and protect it as hard as we can. So I think that's the best answer I can give you. Please. Yes. صحيح. اي لا هالسنه ان شاء الله ايش راح نسوي؟ راح نقسم الشغل. اكو ناس فريق كامل هو راح يمشي بالمسيره وهو اللي راح يحل مشاكل المسيره. هذول الناس لحد الان احنا ما نسميهم، بس ان شاء الله بيوم المسيره ان شاء الله راح نقول لكم من هذول الناس، واي واحد من ضمنهم انا اول واحد. اذا صارت مشكله ان شاء الله we'll name these people out. For example, as Brother Ali, we all call Brother Ali for any problem. We won't call my friend, we won't call my colleague. We'll call Brother Ali because that's what we have to do. Any other questions?
I have a few people who want to volunteer regarding the processing meeting before firewalkers and Spain.
Are they here present with you at the moment?
That's why my question is, what should I tell them if they're not getting any training today?
I think I'll bring in Brother Hassan to answer this question. Okay, perfect. Any other questions?
Yeah. Okay, so one of the points that we wanted to mention this year, like last year, I don't know whether you're aware, there is another procession for Ashura. It's proceeding. They're also gathering at the North Carriage on Hyde Park, which is about maybe a few hundred meters away from Marble Arch Standing. So there is another procession. It'll be heading along Bayswater Road, and it's in the opposite direction. So you might get a lot of questions of people who are asking about the other procession as well as our procession. So I just wanted to make you aware that there is another procession. If you do get people who ask, where is the procession? I think it's been organized by the Islamic Center in Holland Park. So anyone who is asking about that, you can direct them to the North Carriage in Hyde Park.
We are all there for the same reason, the other march and this march, where we'll direct people as they ask. They're all doing their leafleting and the placards, everything is the same cause, the same reason, just different directions. The more people we have spread the message, the better. So there's no issues with that whatsoever.
That's exactly what I was going to say. So thank you for that, Taqwa. Please.
On the previous years, we had people that says food gives food to people. So do you want us to allow them to give that food, or do you want us to?
Okay, the issue with that is, so last year we had an individual who turned up just before the march was about to set off, and he parked his car, and what happened was the crowds gathered around his vehicle, and the crowd was now in the wrong place at the wrong time. we had men and women standing right at the front of the Masira where people were getting ready to move off. We had like a mobile flotilla of equipment that needed to move, and we couldn't move because it caused a blockage. So anyone who wants to distribute food, unless they have authority from us, you restrict them. Or you advise your supervisor, your team leader, that so-and-so has turned up at this location and they want to distribute food. Then the security will take the appropriate action. You do not get involved in telling people not to attend or to move their vehicles. Please radio that in or tell your team leader, and then our security will move them along. But the policy is anyone who's not authorized, unless we are distributing the food at the end of the Masira, then and at the Marbulat standing, no one is authorized to give out food to anyone in the Masira. So if you do spot anyone on the side of the street, please tell your team leaders and radio that in. Is that clear? Okay, perfect.
Sorry, can I just add, that is not to be mean, that's for all our safety, and likewise, I don't know if anyone's mentioned this, if you do see someone that you don't, if you have the slightest suspicion about, I'm not telling you to beware to attack people, but if you have a slight suspicion about who's handing out this food, again, let someone know. I think that's also something to bear in mind.
Yeah, attacks on the procession can take many forms, and food we've had in the past, thankfully not in the last few years, but in the past there have been incidences where people have provided food that has caused people discomfort and subsequent illness. So that's a point that's also key to point out. And I just wanted to go back to the question regarding the stewards. It was asked in Arabic, but I just want to repeat it in English. Regarding any incidences where other teams are involved, if there is an incident near to the proximity of your team, report it to your team leader. If there is something that is not near your team, but you've heard about it, please do not move from your position. When you move from your position, you leave a gap. Leave it to the team that is closest to that incident to deal with that matter, rather than moving and trying to assist, because it leaves a gap in the stewarding scheme and it disrupts everything else. Does anyone else have any questions? Thank you. Well, I think that's covered most of the points. Thank you very much for being here today. Sayyid Hassan is now going to take as many of you as possible upstairs for the training session on communications with the public and handing out leaflets. So please, if you can all make your way upstairs. أفلح من صلى على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.